we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion.
Combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, this is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Me and Kev chilling up in DTC. We got new projects under DCP, and that's Discussion Combustion Production for y'all. Kevin and I making moves in the game. About a month and a half ago, we started an LLC, and we want to turn this thing into more of a business. We're really excited for the momentum that we've had, and we have some of Colorado's hot podcasts on our program that working with us so we can help get that content out. We're not dropping any names right now, but big things are happening in the world, and it's all really about what you choose to do with your time.
Yeah, it's just such a cool industry. We've touched on this a few times, and being here in Denver, Colorado, the smokiest and worst air quality in the world right now. Great city. But, when it comes back to the podcast business, we're really just trying to hone in on some different ideas and giving people an opportunity to be heard a little bit. And that's kind of the DCP mission. Brant Tiller was going to join us tonight. He got tied up at Comedy Works. We had a great time with him last weekend. Brant's going to be on the show again, but he brings a great deal of knowledge to the podcast. He's with the 31 and what he's done. He's just a good guy to kind of have, a phone call away. So Brant will be with us. I know we had him slotted for tonight, but diving into this thing, man, it's good to be back in here.
Yeah, Brant's the man. We had a fantastic time. Kevin and I, we went to Comedy Works South last Friday and went to the late show, hung out afterwards, and just, it's
good people.
Yeah, and doing some networking. We met another great podcast in the Denver area. We'll be linking up with them soon to get them on. But man, it's really just about, trying to make your time as productive as you possibly can, because it's easy to just go punch a clock or, go home and look at the screen or watch your favorite Netflix show until you're ready to go to sleep. And it's easy to do that, and it's okay to do that a couple nights a week. But if you can hone in and try to even make, we went out to a comedy show. It was a Friday night, but it was still productive because we went out there to network. So we had fun, but we also were being productive.
Yeah, I mean, you can tie two things to one, and who knows where we're going to head with some of these possible restrictions. The masks are coming back a little bit in some areas. Colorado, still hasn't pulled the plug on that just yet, so we'll see where that's going to go. But it was nice to be able to do. That was the first time I was in a comedy club since before COVID.
Yeah.
Or really any sort of live entertainment for that matter. So it was a cool feeling to be out there and just less than a mile from our studio.
Less than 5 minutes away. It's less than 5 minutes.
Just up the road, man. Mm-hmm. It's just fun to meet people. That's what this business is about. Is just meeting people, connecting, getting messages heard, and just getting the vision out there for any and everybody, right? That's the name of the game. But it really does come back to what you put in. What you put in is what you get out. And we kind of beat a dead horse on this sometimes, but we don't just get out of life what we want. We get out of life what we are.
Well, it takes work. And so I'm going to talk about this maybe for another 5-10 minutes max about Discussion Combustion Podcast, Discussion Combustion Production, and kind of what it takes to make it. Because the thing is that it's not always going to be easy. We started recording once a week. Actually, once every 2 weeks is where we started, and that was in the very, very beginning. And then we realized a couple months in, there's too much of a gap in between episodes. So then we decided, all right, let's push weekly. Let's make it happen. Let's go. And so even once we were doing that, we always had a new goal in mind. Kevin and I have had phases, phase 1, starting at phase 2, studio space, phase 3, go on video, phase 4, professional studio space, phase 5, we haven't gotten to phase 5 yet, but, that's the thing is you got to plot it out and you got to do the work. And the reason why I'm talking about the timeline is because in the last month and a half, 2 months, Kevin and I have been grinding. We went from recording Wednesday nights, uploading Thursdays, which was minimal work, to coming in Tuesday to record another podcast. We're on Tuesday to produce another podcast. So we have a couple of different projects. So we made Tuesdays available. We still come in Wednesdays. And then we're also in here Thursdays, and we work late, man. So those 3 days we're in here. I mean, my work days, 12 hours or more on those days. And sure, we're having fun with it, but there's a progression to things. Like, you can't just have a goal and expect it to happen. Like, there's progression to it.
Absolutely. I mean, like, phases is a great way to describe it, because you have different chapters, different goals, different peaks of the mountain that you want to climb. We talked about this with Jacqueline a little bit last week of just how you want to level up and set realistic goals that you want to achieve. And when you hit those goals, okay, now it's time to go to the next. And that's what we try to do here. It's a solo night, so it's a good opportunity to kind of dive into our vision, our mission, and our listeners have been so loyal, our viewers have been so loyal, so it's kind of fun to give you guys a little bit of a insight into what's going on around here, because the most common question people ask when we talk about the cast outside of our viewers and listeners that already know us is, well, what's going on in there? What do you guys talk about? Stuff like that. Everybody that listens, you guys know. We're just hanging out with you, We're getting to know people. We're getting different ideas out there. We're just talking, and being honest. Something that we need more than ever, in during the pandemic, during just the progression of technology and social media. This platform, this style, this business is so powerful. And I really think it's going to bring people away, even though you might need a screen to listen to us or find us, I think it's going to bring you a little bit away from that and hopefully be able to connect.
Yeah, sit in with some friends that have known each other for over a decade and hang out and chat. But you got to understand, Kevin and I have made sacrifices to get where we're at. Like, something doesn't just become something. Like, you really got to grind. You really got to have your sacrifices. I mean, I've had issues in my relationship over this. I've been super tired coming into my day job the next day doing this. And, it's about having a mentality that's more important than feeling tired, having a mentality, having a goal that's more important than a little argument with your significant other. Because when you have the mentality of like, I want to grow this business, I want to grow this platform where anybody can be heard and listened to, that's more important than me. That's bigger than me. That's bigger than Kevin,
And those are the personal goals, That's what ultimately we want to attain, right? With this entire project. And everybody carries different goals. And how much work you put in, there is a work-life balance. Obviously, we both work, day jobs, and we spend a lot of time here running two different businesses. It can get a little bit overwhelming at times. But, you look at someone like Elon Musk, who I've had varying opinions on. This is a guy that said he took about 7 to 12 days off in the last 10 years. Right, so
he's working weekends and stuff too,
crushing it. I mean, and work can be weighed as a couple different things. Whether you're answering an email, whether you're writing things down because you have creative ideas that maybe you want to present, whatever the case may be, work is work, and there is a work-life balance. I do believe that, but Kevin O'Leary always talks about it too. Is just grind hard. Put the work in and build your establishment the more work you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. That's something that's always held a lot of volume to me, because I've been on the opposite side of it where, okay, maybe I wasn't feeling it this week. I was off. Maybe I got too drunk on Friday night. I'm a little bit hungover. I'm not putting in the work. And then, it's really just a momentum-based thing, I feel like. How many times have I said where focus goes, energy flows? It's putting it in, man. And you're right, Art. It's sometimes you do have to make sacrifices, and it can get difficult with not only friendships, with family relationships, with intimate relationships. It really challenges ourselves, our significant others, our friends, our peers, and even our coworkers. Because where's the focus really at? What are we trying to do here? So, balancing all of that in a nutshell, everybody's going to manage that differently.
It's true, man. It's true. And I wasn't trying to get on a soapbox and like listen to DCPC so we could promote DCP or DCPC. Like, that's not the point. Like, the point about this is really just to drive home the fact that if you want to do something important that makes you feel fulfilled and makes you happy when you're going to sleep at night, then you're going to have to make some sacrifices to really get this thing rolling. Like, just like you have to, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to sacrifice, eating that delicious pizza or, having that third slice of pizza. Maybe you cut it off at 1 or 2, you have to make these sacrifices, and to, sacrifice sleeping in to wake up to go work out, or, that's the main point that I'm trying to drive home here is it's going to take time. It's going to take effort, and you might argue about it. You might have, people in your life that don't agree with what you're doing, or naysayers like, oh, that's really optimistic that you're doing it like that. But really, the fact of the matter is that, and I'm fortunate to have a business partner like you, Kevin, because, we both have passion for this, and that's what sets it. Because when I'm feeling low, because everyone loses their motivation from time to time, like you pick it up, and I feel like it's vice versa.
And sometimes that's what's needed, not only in a professional working environment, a friendship, whatever it is, whatever goal you have, sometimes you do need to lean on people, and that also carries some weight. And whether that's a phone call, if you're across country, a text message, whatever your preferred method is to support one another, it goes a long way. I've always preached that family and friends make you the richest man. Mm-hmm. The people you surround yourself with are probably the most important people that can influence your decisions and your goals and aspirations, and vice versa. It's important to give that back as well. It's easy when you get caught up in such a vision to let it completely consume your time, your energy, your mind, your sleep patterns, whatever it is. So even for myself, I'll be honest. I mean, I've been so focused on work, doing this, promoting that, trying to be the best I can Monday through Friday, that it does start to wear on the mind. And that's something to be conscious of as well. So it's a balance, work hard, of course, but I do believe in the work hard, play hard. However people interpret that doesn't necessarily mean go out and get rowdy, but balance yourself with what you want to get out of this life and also enjoying some rest. And you got
to have the rest days. I mean,
it's important.
That's going to make you sharper. It's going to put you on point. And so, to wrap this whole thing up, man, with DCPC, Discussion Combustion Podcast, y'all see what we do as a podcast. Discussion Combustion Production, that is an actual thing right now. And just like our guests, we're looking for podcasts that, have a motivation behind them. We like to talk to people, as far as our guests, people who have a positive energy, that are willing to be upfront about some of the trials and tribulations in their life. And we love to hook up with podcasts of that same energy. So if you got a podcast out there you're interested in getting to the next level with, maybe you're in the Denver area, you'd like to utilize all the camera equipment and all that, hit us up, because we're more than willing to take some things underneath our wing that we feel are also a platform that deserve to be heard. So, I wanted to wrap it up really quick there, as far as talking about us and everything as a podcast and a production company. But before we move forward any further, you already know, when you're trying to get that CBD that's going to propel your life into a better place, you got to visit mountainmadecbd.com.
That is the clearest, the purest, the most affordable CBD on the market. You guys have heard it day in and day out, week after week, episode after episode. But there's a reason that we stay with these guys. There's a reason that I take a little bit of build in the morning, boost in the afternoon, recovery at night. CBD is such a competitive market, but check out Mountain Made, man. These guys are doing it just a little bit different. They got products coming down the line we can't even talk about yet. That's how much innovation happens. Really great product. We've stood behind them since day one. They've stood behind us since day one. They'll ship anywhere in the nation. You want it on their shelves? Hit them up. MountainMadeCBD.com. Punch in promo code DCPC. Save 20% off your entire order.
Absolutely. And that is the hashtag Go Like Hell mentality.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Wild Outdoor Adventures, and that's going to be WOAMEET.com.
Now, when you go to that website, you could sign up at no charge and see all these different beautiful activities that are happening in the gorgeous state of Colorado, my home state. Man, I love it out here. If you're passing by or you live here and let's say you want to talk to somebody who has a little bit of knowledge, this is a great place to start. They have specific programs as well. Hope for teens, hope for the veterans. Man, I'm not a vet. Kevin's not a vet, but we have a large group of friends that are, and we support the vets day in, day out here. Got to check out Wild Outdoor Adventures to connect with people of similar interests. I mean, if you're a vet coming home and it's a little difficult and the other vets know what you're going through, this might be a great place to meet those friends,
Yeah, that's what it's about, is bringing people together of similar interests and experiencing new things. I mean, this state it can be intimidating, right? Maybe you just moved here and you go, these mountains look rough. Well, you get on WA, you sign up for free, you start talking to people that maybe hike some of these things. I can give you some pointers. They're probably going to be out in the trails with you. So it's just a really great way to get outdoors, see some of these great, activities they have going on. The summer's going to be winding down quick, guys. So if you want to experience this stuff before we're back in the cold weather, I highly recommend signing up at WOAMET.com.
And that is hashtag less dreaming and more exploring. So, Kevin, I did have a would you rather for you. And whenever I find these would you rathers for Kevin, I always like to come up with something. I like to compare two things that I know he loves, and make him battle for it. So this week, if you had to pick, all right, one of these two things is just wiped out of existence forever. Forever, it's gone. You can only keep one in existence. Are you keeping NASCAR or are you keeping American football?
Oh, that's a tough one, brother. That's a real tough one. When it comes down to, because a lot of people have asked me kind of where I rank on my favorite sports. I love football, as everyone knows that's listened to this podcast long enough. Diehard New England Patriots fan.
Poo-poo.
Well,
I'm a Broncos fan. I got to say that.
Oh, of course. But that's
honestly,
part of
the Pats have been one of, out of all of our competitors, I've respected them the most, way more than the Raiders. I mean,
respect is, it's a positive way to carry against your opponents. And I love the National Football League. Absolutely love them. I will say I got into football a little bit later in life.
okay.
I didn't really become a big Pats fan until, I grew up in the Drew Bledsoe era, so it was always around us. I had Pats memorabilia, sweatshirts and stuff, but I wasn't really a diehard fan until a little bit later.
Okay.
NASCAR, I've been a fan since as far back as I can remember. 1994 when Jeff Gordon made his debut at Charlotte, North Carolina, or Atlanta Motor Speedway was his debut in the Cup Series. His first win is what I remember the most, 1994, Memorial Day weekend. Changed my life. Okay, I was a young lad. I was 5 years of age, and that's when I started wearing the 24 hat. Memorial Day, 94. Fantastic, Coke 600. So for me, because of that, because of the split and how far I go back with NASCAR, I'm going to have to side with that. I don't want the NFL to go away.
No, it's gone now.
But
It's gone.
I have to pick because it's a would you rather. So, of course, I'm going to go NASCAR.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, actually. I like how you explained that. That makes a lot of sense. I'm probably with most Americans where I would, pick football over racing. But one thing that's very interesting about racing that you've actually opened up my mind to is that it's a very extreme sport. I mean, these drivers are in these NASCARs, and there's no AC. They try to keep the weight down, so you got to think about that. There's no AC in there. They probably have like some kind of water, tube that they can drink and stay hydrated. But these people are out there on top of that hot tarmac, that hard asphalt, that blacktop. They're revving these heavy engines, high capacity heat coming off that motor. They're in fireproof suits and helmets inside of this aerodynamic car with probably zero windows open. There's probably no air, flow. There's no draft.
It's minimal.
So they are burning up in there.
Yeah, it's hot, man. Absolutely hot, for sure. We've talked about this a couple times, but yeah, that's the biggest battle as being a professional stock car driver in the Cup Series. Because this isn't a short sprint of just driving around the racetrack for 30, 40 laps. These guys go 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes, depending on the track and the race.
And that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. You think about that. It really is, especially in the summertime, these temperatures are brutal. It gets up to 150 degrees in the race car.
So do they not use the restroom once?
Yeah, that's always...
or do they just go in the suit?
It's a common question. That's people ask that, I think, more than a lot of other questions I've heard about, especially NASCAR drivers, because of how much time they spend behind the wheel. But with as much water weight as they shed per race, it's they can usually go before a race and be fine to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah.
So it just depends. On the outside looking in, I get it. A lot of people hate NASCAR. All around and around. All they do is drive in circles. We've been through this many times. But I will say this. This year, 2021, has been the most times that we've turned right and left. 7 road courses on the circuit this year. 7.
Nice.
7 out of 36.
So if anybody is interested in NASCAR, you're interested and getting to know that sport better, my talented co-host actually has another podcast, which is MTG
Mash the Gas.
Mash the Gas podcast. It's hosted by Jeff, which is he's a great guy. He's been on.
He's
he
so
was
good.
He was on a phone call. I forget the episode, but he's been on before.
Yeah.
But these two have been crushing it, man. And if you're looking to get into racing, you want to learn something about racing, Mash the Gas podcast. That's a great place to start, man, because both of you have great information, and you're doing something in that realm of podcasts that I don't feel like, as far as what I heard, that other podcasts are doing in that genre.
It's definitely a more untapped market a little bit, the NASCAR podcasts. I mean, there's racing, there's automotive talk, there's stuff like that, but it's a pretty untapped industry, so to speak. Obviously, you have your Dale Jr. Download, Happy Hours, Motor Mouths, some of the big hitters that we all see on NBC and so forth. But I love sitting down with Jeff Davis out of Dallas, Texas. Him and I have been NASCAR guys for 3 decades, and we just kind of cover the sport. It's a little bit opinions, but it's more factual based. We talk about the rumors,
talking NASCAR, talking trash talking.
Yeah, the rumor mills, fantasy. We talk all of it. So it's way more scripted than this project. So that's kind of fun because it's different for me. DCPC, I can drink beer, fuck off, have fun, make mistakes, whatever, and we send it. We tighten it up over at MTG because we're trying to represent the sport and get the stats out there. But check us out, man. Mash the Gas. We don't promote it much on DCPC, but because you brought it up,
we're gonna drop it down there this week.
We'll put it in there.
Yeah, make it people easy to find. And that's Mash the Gas podcast. Quick, easy listen. It's like less than 30 minutes normally, so you could breeze through, understand, get caught up in the world of racing really quick. I wanted to plug that, man. Because,
I appreciate it, man.
Because you do a good job. Kevin works hard, man. This guy works hard. He grinds on his day jobs. He grinds on his podcast. He grinds on social media. Some may say that you're making it look easy.
I don't know how to respond to that. I don't. I just try to put in the work that I feel is necessary to do what we're trying to achieve, whether that's DCPC, MTG, my day job, talking with you, whatever. I don't know how to respond to that, man. You put me on the spot a little bit. I don't feel like I make anything look easy. I feel like sometimes I'm scatterbrained all the time. You see me, I come in here, I'm just blah, 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 blah. I start rattling shit off. Let's get our ducks in a row, so to speak. Which one I'm gonna knock down, I don't know.
I don't know, but we're gonna line them up. We gotta line them up.
And that's just part of it, man. It's putting in the work.
I know. So if you're teeter-tottering on a decision, I heard that this is not from me. This is a lot of my information is borrowed information. Like I found this somewhere else. But apparently the brain. So you have 5 seconds, 5 crucial seconds to make that decision or not. Like if you're sitting there and you're thinking, man, I should go do 20 push-ups really quick. Within 5 seconds, your brain is going to try to talk you out of that. So if you're aware of that,
make a quick decision.
I paused for 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you have that moment of where you're going to be absolute about your decision or not. And I am so guilty of being indecisive. I can't decide whether I want peanut butter M&Ms or the peanut M&Ms, or maybe I'm going to go with chips. Like I can't make my mind up. And so it's difficult for me, and I've been trying to apply this 5-second rule, not to drop food, which I'll break that rule. I'll give it 10 seconds. Bacteria is good for the body. But I've been trying to focus on this 5-second rule of I'm trying to make a decision that's going to better me, and I need to make this decision and act on it before I think my way out of it.
I think that, I can agree with that. I mean, 5 seconds, maybe even 10 seconds, because the mind, you have an idea, and then your mind will start to talk you out of that idea sometimes. I want to send this to that person. I want to propose that. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that, right? And then it's like, well, I'm kind of comfortable right now. I'm kind of hungry. Maybe I should focus my energy somewhere else. I never really broke it down into a time frame of when a thought comes through the mind, the mind may pull you away from it.
Yeah, I mean, we're all faced with that, though. it happens to all of us. We're all faced with that challenge to, we know the right thing to do, but too often mundane thought processes lead to that positive action being put on the shelf. And that happens too frequently. I've seen it happen in my life so many times where I'm like, dude, I know the right thing to do right now, and I got to do it right now or else. And then I put it off, and then guess what I'm dealing with later? The thing that I should have just done.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, procrastination is going to happen sometimes, right? You got to prioritize what needs to be done, what I feel needs to be done, and everybody's going to analyze that a little bit differently. What's the most important priority? Is it cooking dinner? Is it cleaning the house? Is it getting work done? Is it doing a proposal? Whatever it is, everyone's going to prioritize that a little bit differently. But when it goes back to, making a decision on peanut M&Ms or, some of the other flavors, it just really reminds me of how messy of a snacker I am.
Oh, my God.
Because I hear a lot about this in this studio. Because every time I eat, and my girlfriend will attest to this too, I'm not a messy person, but when I'm snacking, I'm like a wood chipper.
This dude eats like he's a grandpa.
It's very possible. I've always been called. Who was it? I think it was Samantha that always said I was the oldest young person that she had ever met, which I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
I'd say it's a compliment. You have an old soul. I feel like that's a good enduring term.
Well, that's nice. That's a nice way to look at it. But with that comes, ridiculous rhetoric, argumentative beliefs, and a messy snacking pattern. So, that's kind of what we deal with here. Art's always getting on my case about the snacks. I like to eat a little bit before we go on the air. And sometimes I make a mess.
The best advice I've ever given Kevin, and he only heeded to this advice once, it was when you bite your food, you go for the bite, you make sure your lips are beyond where the bite's happening. And then within that, you suction your lips around the food, and then do a slight suck in as you complete your bite. That's going to alleviate
debris.
Yeah, like 95% of the crumbs.
There's just so many variables there. I want to ask any viewer or listener right now, have you ever had one of those delicious Nature Valley oat and honey bars? Okay. You're talking Crumb City.
Okay, so then are you utilizing the package to your advantage, or are you just going in there like you're using chopsticks?
I think the best way to eat those, because we already know there's going to be so much debris involved, the way I do it anyway is to slowly utilize the package. I'll break off the pieces in the package and eat those almost as a snack portion. Because if you bite into that thing, you're
all over the place.
Game over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah, so I agree with that technique with the Nature Valley. You break them off in there, and then that way you get your pieces, and then once you're down to the crumb, you pour it in your mouth.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I eat cereal, too. I love one of my favorite cereals.
When do you break cereal with your hands?
Well, no, but as far as when you get down to the end of cereal, what I'll do is instead of doing it with milk, is I'll pour the rest in, depending on the cereal.
Yeah.
So it's got to be, for me, it's the special K.
I gotta ask, because I know my top 2 or 3 on this already. What's your top 3 cereals?
That's a good one. And it depends on if I'm going to analyze my entire life or my adult life.
Your entire life.
Okay.
You know what? No. Just what's your favorite?
Well, but that would have changed. If you had asked me when I was a teenager.
Now, if you're an adult, then it's just now. So
then it's just now.
Adult life.
Well, because you said top 3. Because when I was a child, I loved the kids' cereals. Give me the Cocoa Pebbles. Give me Trix. I was kind of hit or miss on. Honey Smacks. Pops. I ate a lot of those as a child. So those would have been higher in the ranking. Putting them all together now as I've gotten older, again, going back to me being a grandpa, I love Special K with the strawberries, delicious.
Okay.
Raisin Bran, hitter. Cheerios, fantastic.
Okay.
Those are probably the first 3 I would hit because I don't really like the sweet candy type cereals anymore. Loved them as a kid, right? Lucky Charms, Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Puffs, Count Chocula. That's a kid cereal. Loved them then.
Those are definitely kid cereals.
Now that I'm an adult, I like the kind of the.
So, do you still eat cereal?
Yes.
Okay. See, I don't even eat cereal anymore.
Dude, cereal is delicious, and I'll tell you one of my favorite times to eat it. Cereal is it's great. A cold bowl of milk and a delicious bowl of Cheerios or Special K, especially on my off day. A work day, I'm probably not eating cereal. An off day when I'm like, what do I have to eat? I'm like, ooh, cereal sounds really good right now.
It does sound good. I'm starting to
It's
salivate.
so good. It's
Thinking
so
about
good.
cereal.
It's a good bowl. You feel good when you eat it.
It's a good bowl.
It is. It's tremendous.
Oh God!
What's your favorite
that
cereal?
just started cracking me up so much. Okay, so wait. As an adult, you have the Special K strawberry.
Fantastic.
You had
Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran, and what was the third
Cheerios.
one? And Cheerios.
Whether that's
okay.
original or Honey Nut.
Okay, yeah, those are both delicious. The Honey Nut, come on. I mean, come on. So,
You're going probably Frosted Flakes, huh?
okay, I'm gonna do the same thing you did. I like what you did with that question. Like you turned it from childhood to adulthood,
It changes as you get older.
and I'm gonna do chronological order from childhood to adulthood.
All right, let's hear it.
And my top are, as a child, Reese's Puffs, Cocoa Puffs,
That was in one of mine.
and there's a couple that I'm fighting with, but I'm gonna have to give it up to Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ooh, that's a good competitor there.
So those are my childhood faves. I'm gonna say, Fruity Pebbles close second.
Pebbles was close.
Especially the chocolate ones too. Come on now. But as an adult, and I love this as a kid too. Don't get me wrong, but Life cereal, I love Life cereal. Even as a kid, I love that. Frosted Flakes, and the main contributing factor to that is my mother loves Frosted Flakes.
So that kind of influenced your love for it as well.
Yes, my mom's love for that.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm going to go ahead and dude, the Raisin Bran, I'm going to hit that as an adult one too, because the Raisin Bran,
good.
it fills you up. You feel good eating it. Like, you don't feel like this emptiness of eating donuts after you ate that cereal. Like, you actually feel some substance. So, yeah, some similarities there. What's everybody else's favorite cereals out there? Come on, there's a lot of good ones.
There is, man. The cereal battle goes on and on and on. There's, especially when you dive back into our generation, dude, the 90s was like the cereal combat war zone. Tony the Tiger was big with the Frosted Flakes. You had the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You had Count Chocula. You had the Fruity Pebbles. You had the Trix Rabbit. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Silly Rabbit. Tricks are for kids. There was so much campaigning going on for who had the best cereal in the 90s.
Oh, my God.
Trix, I can take or leave it.
Yeah. It's a joke that's not PC. I'll say it off air on the the Trixer for kids.
Yeah, we won't.
There was a pun on that growing up, which I know where
you're going with that.
And speaking on that though, man, like progression. All right, what is human progression? What does that mean to you? What does that mean in the bigger picture? Personally, I feel like progression for humanity is more acceptance. It's acceptance of religious differences. It's acceptance of sexual differences, of personal beliefs. Everybody deserves, maybe not everybody deserves to be loved, but people in general, I feel like everybody has some good in them. And for anybody who is out there and you're really on that extremist side of, like you hate the opposite, get your life together.
Yeah.
Because progression to me for humanity is acceptance.
It is. I mean, it's one thing to be extremely opinionated and passionate about things, and that's one thing I've always credited going back to when I first moved out here, and meeting a different group of people that had a different mindset than me. I was so conditioned with very similar interests, very similar opinions, all that kind of stuff, and it is good. We've touched on this before, but it is good to be around people with different opinions, and it doesn't make that person or the other person's opinion better, right, wrong, whatever. Really, it comes down to respect, acceptance. I mean, kind of all ties back into the same bucket. It's a part of how we grow and learn to respect one another. We've gotten so far away from that, especially with it's been one of, honestly, probably the biggest downfalls to this pandemic. We're doing the right thing by keeping people separated or whatever for different purposes, but it's caused a barrier of well, I'm just going to get mad over social media. I'm going to send an angry text.
I mean, that was there before a little bit.
It was,
of course, right?
But it's really, I think
been magnified.
It's gotten worse,
Okay.
And I think it probably would have gotten worse had the pandemic, would have been a steady uptick. But I feel like we saw a very parabolic movement on that, and I don't see it coming back the other way anytime soon. But who knows, man? Who knows? Really, just knowledge is power, and being aware of that situation and how you want to react with it, because so many people I interact with now are stuck in one way or the other, and either they completely write off the other side, or they're willing to hear the other side and then bitch about it behind closed doors.
Now, what's the age range of these people, would you say?
Probably, I mean, we're talking probably adults at this point.
What do you consider adult?
For me, what I consider an adult, by definition, it's 18 and up. I've always said if you can pick up a rifle and go to war, you should be able to drink a beer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 18 plus.
Okay. I could see that. I mean, with your rights, yeah. Boy. I guess being an adult, it all depends on the person, right? So, like, I feel more adult now in my 34th year than I ever have. And that's just because I'm finally getting the right priorities. So I'm going to say people are an adult when they actually get their priorities right and start respecting themselves. Obviously, age does matter. So,
see, I don't agree with that.
Well, and that's what's great about it, But obviously, legally, you're an adult at 18.
Sure.
Obviously, no rights taken away, but maturity-wise, mentality-wise. If there's plenty of 21-year-olds, even me in my early 20s, like I was acting like a child.
Oh, dude, you knew me when I was in my early 20s. I was the biggest child. No question about it.
So
I'm not a prime example.
So would you say that you acted like an adult then? Like you're not?
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say but in that same breath, what I'm going to say is I've seen so many early 20-year-olds act extremely, professional, adult. Of course, you don't know what everybody does behind closed doors, but you can just kind of see different priorities. When I was 21, man, I was a mess. I didn't know what I wanted out of this life. So, tying back into the age is just a number thing. I wasn't there at that age. So I know what you're saying, right? I mean, it's taken me to be in my 30s to hit my stride, but some people hit it early. Athletes, I think some people in the public eye are kind of forced into that, and that can create different issues down the road. But I think age for me, I've always defended is just a number. It really is, because I've met people well into their 50s or 60s that their life is more, unorganized than somebody in their 20s or 30s. So generally speaking, I get where you're coming from, Art, but for us, yeah, maybe we hit our stride in our 30s, but I've seen plenty of people do it in their 20s.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Like you kind of reach this adulthood once you respect your own priorities and you're willing to make sacrifices and do what you got to do to be able to do that. I mean, shit, man, I feel like I waste, and I hate to, I'm going to remove that word, redacted. No time is wasted as long as you're willing to see the silver lining. So in my 20s, a lot of time was spent doing the wrong things, and investing my time, investing my mental energy into things that weren't going to benefit me long run. And you know what? Part of me knew that. Part of me knew that I was being selfish with my time, and I was being selfish and just doing what felt good, that instant please,
Yeah, I can relate to that too. I mean, especially the way that we partied so hard in our 20s. I mean, we've told that story so many times, where we were in our lives. We didn't have a lot of commitments other than rent and having to show up for work. So it was a little bit easier to not really care about some of the bigger picture things. And yeah, to echo off your point, it does take time to really hone in on what you want, what your goals are, what your objectives are. And some people are pressured into those, which cause problems later in life. Some people hit them naturally. And I think that's a great point, is all the shit that we've been through and the hard times and the mistakes that we've made, man, I wouldn't take any of it back. I really wouldn't, because it's helped propel to what the vision is now.
For sure, man. I completely agree with that. Like, if you could go back, would you? If you could go back, what would you do? Would you change your past? I would not. I would not go back and change my past, and Sure, I wish I would have done some things differently. Sure, I wish I would have got my head out of my ass a long time ago, you know? And that's the thing is like we all want to be so proud. Like we all want to be correct. We all want to ride life on our high horse and act like we have a sense of immortality and omnipotence. You know, like we're godly or something. Like that's what, you know, we all kind of want that because in every variation of society, each individual feels like they are, you know, like it should be. Like why shouldn't I have money? Like people feel that I deserve this or I deserve that, you know. And I've been there too, man. And that's the thing though, is like I would love to go back and change things, but that's unrealistic, and honestly that's unhealthy to think that way. Because through my darkest days, I mean, I was talking about this with Kevin before we hopped on the podcast. I mean, I'm so grateful that we have this awesome studio in DTC, man. Like, you know, the money I spend on this monthly would get me high twice on opiates when I was heavy on that shit. And, you know, as life progresses, you start to see different things. Maybe you're an old dog. Maybe you can't be taught new tricks. But I believe in the best place to start with any and everybody is to constantly have this level of acceptance. I accept my mistakes. I accept that I was correct there and wasn't acknowledged. I accept. And a level of neutrality where it's like, I feel like I'm right, but if I'm being extremely neutral, then am I 100% correct? You know, and if you can approach life with that sort of mentality of acceptance and neutrality, if you can tackle problems with acceptance and neutrality, then you will learn because you're going to challenge yourself. You're going to challenge your own beliefs because you're accepting other people's beliefs. You're neutral on your beliefs compared to somebody else's, and that's where you're trying to find the right thing. You know, the whole teach an old dog new tricks, you can't do that, you know? And that's only because that dog wasn't trained to continue to learn new tricks.
And it's all an individual decision, right? Everybody's going to analyze that a bit differently. You know, it's, you know, the old saying is no regrets, learn from your mistakes, which I firmly believe in. You know, regrets it kind of puts a negative shadow on things. If you could go back, knowing what you know now, would you do things differently? That's an interesting question because you could take that knowledge back and maybe change your path a little bit. But, you know, when you start talking about time travel and going back and stuff, would you still be on the same trajectory and have the same mindset and presence that you have in this time? So that's always one, you know, a counter that I like to throw to that. It's easy to say, oh, if only I knew now what I knew then, well, then you would have been on a different trajectory. You wouldn't have had those same life lessons. And it's important to reflect on those life lessons, man, because there's been so many chapters or staples and bullet points and milestones that I focus on, fuck-ups, accomplishments, you know, whatever the case may be, that I look back on like, man, that really revolutionized where I wanted to go, what I learned from that. And it's you know, it's a case-by-case basis.
So what would you say would be the biggest life lesson that you've learned within the last 60 days, the last 2 months? Biggest life lesson you've learned, if I could say that.
Man, that's a good question. Yeah, on the spot question. You know, I could probably answer it with a couple different responses, but in the last 60 days, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to, you know, to be able to trust your instincts. To be able to trust your instincts and take a leap is kind of what I've learned a little bit, because complacency was something that was always comfortable for me. And doing the same thing over and over again, like a lot of people do, you know, this is what I need to do, blah, blah, and that's fine. That's not a bad thing. But to be able to shake it up, take a leap, make a move, things are going to be okay. New doors are going to open. So for me, coming out of a complacent mindset for the last 13 years, being able to roll the dice, take a chance, take a leap, I've learned that it's a monumental feeling in your life. You know, there's going to be emotions that come with it, but I think for me, that's what I've learned, that it's okay to take a chance, What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah. I mean, let that sink in.
Yeah.
You know, take a chance. Like I mean, it's so true, man. Like, until you go out there, put your neck out there, like, you don't know. You know, I come from a background of sales history. Like, you don't know until you ask. You know, I used to frequent this bar, and one day I was in there. You know, I was kind of becoming a regular. They recognized my face, and one day I was just like, "Hey, how about a round of shots from me and my lady?" We got a round of shots, no charge.
You don't know until you try.
You know, you don't know until you ask for it. So that's to reiterate your point. For me, one of the biggest things I've learned in the last 60 days, man, and, you know, life always presents us with the struggle, and behind that is success, you know, and so through struggle, I want struggle. I want to struggle. I want to feel the pain. Like, I want to go through that burning rain. Like, I don't know what it is, man. I feel like that's the most important thing right now. And that's going to reiterate my point is, like, you know, once you find something, once you know what makes you happy, once you truly understand it and you recognize within yourself, like, this is going to help me be my best self. You know, doing something is going to make me be my best self. You know, once you make your mind up on that, like, that's my biggest lesson is you're going to sacrifice the immediate pleasure. You're going to sacrifice immediate pleasure. And I'm willing to let go of immediate pleasure. Like, I'm 7-8 months free of opiates. Like, I haven't fucked with that shit. And I was trapped for such a long time. 12 years on, 5 years getting off, bro. That's 17 years. That's basically almost half my life. And, you know, I let go of immediate pleasure for long-term gain. And that's the biggest thing for me is recognizing that I'm going to get dirty right now. I'm going to go to work right now. I'm going to make myself feel uncomfortable. I want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to be sitting cushion. I want to get uncomfortable, man. And that's the biggest lesson for me that I've learned in the last 60 days is being true to thine self is above all. And sure, that within itself is a cliche, but within that, in between the lines, you're sacrificing, you're giving immediate pleasure up, you are going hard because you know when you went hard, when you went the distance, it felt fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, the risk is worth the reward, you know, taking that chance and you know, just accepting a different kind of lifestyle, so to speak. Getting off opiates or any kind of addiction is a monumental experience. And refocusing that energy into other areas. You know, I talk to a lot of recovered addicts, and they all kind of have the same common response of, well, you have to channel that energy somewhere else. You have to.
Yeah.
You got to put it somewhere else to get that. It's not going to be the same, but you're still channeling your energy into something that's going to benefit you, or you know, whatever that case may be. Everybody can gauge that on a different scale, but yeah, it's important to be aware of it. It's important to want to make those changes, and don't feel bad for reflecting on those positive gains, man. You know, complacency, like I was saying, it's so easy to get complacent. I'm going to work this, I'm going to go home, I'm going to get fucked up, you know, and then just repeat, rinse, repeat. We need challenges. It's important to challenge yourself. It really is, man. And maybe that's something I've learned later in life. You know, the easy road is the easy road for a reason. Is it easy to become complacent and order DoorDash and sit on your ass and watch Netflix and not work out and eat like shit? Yeah, of course it's easy. You know, and if that lifestyle works for you, great. But if you want more, just tweak something.
Yeah, for sure. You got to make yourself feel a little bit uncomfortable to have success. And, you know, you can't keep doing the same things. Like let's make ourselves uncomfortable this week. And I already got to believe and achieve in the back pocket on that. But, damn it, Kevin put together a word of the week.
Yeah, I did. We were kind of talking about that off air a little bit. And, we could have pulled one out of the hat of the old days. But what I put together, I don't know, maybe this word isn't that great. I don't know. We'll see. It's pronounced Augean.
Augean?
Yep. It's an adjective. So adjectives, as I've always learned, was a describing word. So it's gonna describe a situation. Used in a the definition sentence is always so formal, but requiring so much effort to complete or solve something that seems impossible. And
so that's the definition?
It's yeah.
I thought I was gonna guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to guess?
Well, I know what it is now.
Because there's other translations and definitions.
No, keep going, because Augean. So I still don't fully understand it. So fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of sums it up a little bit. Seeing the definition, using the sentence, it requires a lot of effort to complete or solve something that could seem impossible. So in a nutshell, it's putting in effort. It's putting in effort because it takes a lot of Augean to clear through a blockade that's in your way.
Sorry, I can't focus on what you're saying right now because I'm Augean on this.
You could probably, Augean amounts of debris to clear. That was another sentence there. It's because it's a describing word, you're describing, this is how it is. Augean focus. Just this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's our English lesson of the day.
So it was Augean it's something that you feel like could be impossible, but you're able to accomplish it through like consistency and hard work or something like that.
Exactly. That's exactly what it boils down to. It's a task that requires so much work and so much focus, that you got to grind.
Yes. Yeah. So you got an Augean mentality would be a good thing then.
It's a positive thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it also kind of speaks because it's describing. It's not a verb, so it's not an action word, but it's describing the amount of effort that it will take to get through a difficult situation.
Yes. Man, I love that. I do love that. And believe and achieve being Augean then. Believe and achieve having, I hope that's the right pronunciation, Augean, because here's the thing. Augean? Augean. So let's believe and achieve creating an uncomfortable environment for ourselves this week. And I mean that in the most positive way I could possibly say it. Create an uncomfortable environment by doing something that you want to do. Snuff that 5-second mentality out. Do it right away. Make yourself uncomfortable because you haven't done this. Like, stop with the comfortability. Stop with the instant right now I need it, I can have it. Stop with that bullshit. Let's make ourselves uncomfortable. Let's work hard. Let's make ourselves fucking tired. Let's do something. Believe in making yourself uncomfortable and achieve the hard goal. Achieve being Augean.
That's it. Challenge yourself. Do something simple for yourself that's maybe a little bit off the rails from what you normally would have done, that you've become complacent with. Maybe you're a DoorDasher and you want things brought to your house. You know what? Put in a pickup order. Go get it. Get out of the house for a little bit. Put on a mask. Those are coming back. If that's going to make you feel comfortable, just something different out of your routine that you're used to doing. Switch it up a bit. Challenge yourself. The e-commerce stuff is great, but maybe get out in there and go do it yourself. Or maybe take a walk around your neighborhood. Talk to thy neighbor. Whatever it is, switch it up a bit. Challenge yourself because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know what opportunities are going to present themselves. And that's just a solid piece of advice, Art. It really is. Whether the word of the week ties into it or not, just that little adjustment can really change somebody's week, their day, their life.
Absolutely. Let's make ourselves uncomfortable by doing something that we've been wanting to do. And please, let's look at the big task as little steps to accomplish. So we're not looking at this big goal, getting super anxious, like, how am I going to do this? Just write down one thing, maybe in a digital notepad and an actual notepad, one thing that you could easily accomplish today. You break down the big goal in small steps, and that's how you hold your glass high. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we move forward in life. We're going to make ourselves uncomfortable. I've made myself extremely uncomfortable sitting next to Kevin for this many dang episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how uncomfortable this is next to me, honestly. So I think you've prevailed from that. If Art can do it, you guys can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Just challenge yourself. You don't know what you're capable of until your back's against the wall, until you take a leap, jump. Steve Harvey says it best. Your parachute might not open right away, but just take that leap. Man, you don't know what you're capable of. I mean, you are capable of so much. So just believe in yourself. Be good to yourselves because you know you deserve it.
And we're going to be back next week. We love everybody out there, man. We got love for all the haters. We got love for all the weekly listeners, man. We feel like we got some of the best people in the game. And, with the things Kevin and I talk about, how we open up on here, we really hope that, you could be the best self for yourself because we all do deserve it, man.
You deserve it. We'll see you guys next week. Trent will be joining us from the Summer Sizzle series rolls on. Hell's Kitchen Young Guns. Man, can't wait to sit down with Trenton via Zoom. We'll see you guys then. Until then, like you said, Art, be good to yourselves.
You deserve it.